Hi Earth Signs, Trishna here. So in today's video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do an intuitive reading for the Earth Signs collectively. So that is Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And then I'm going to pull 2 cards for each sign to go a little bit deeper and get a little bit more specifics on each one of the signs. So that will be the tarot portion of this reading. So Earth Signs, what I'm feeling for you intuitively is I feel like you and your partner currently, there's some kind of disconnect between the two of you. You don't feel as connected to your partner or to this person as you would like to be, or maybe as you have in the past. And obviously, with everything going on, we're not really physically around everybody like we'd like to be. But when I say that you don't feel as connected to them, I feel like it's on an emotional level and also on a mental level. I feel like you feel some kind of emotional distance from them, and then also mentally, you feel like the two of you aren't really on the same wavelength. And whenever you two maybe talk on the phone or over video or something like that, or over text, or however the two of you have been communicating, it's like you're talking to each other, but neither of you are actually truly talking to each other. It's like you're talking past each other, having completely different conversations with each other. And I don't think that this is necessarily a bad thing. I think that this has to do with the collective energy that's going on around us. And now you might say, well, if we're all being affected by the same collective energy, wouldn't that put us on the same wavelength? Wouldn't that mean that we're both experiencing and feeling and dealing with the same kinds of thoughts and things like that, and we'd actually be able to speak the same language? And what I want to say about that is, yes, it is affecting all of us, but again, we are all unique and we all have different experiences and different fears and different insecurities that we are each working on as individuals. So when the collective energy affects each one of us, yes, it may be affecting each one of us in the same kinds of categories, but the thoughts that we have, the fears that we have, the insecurities, the self-questioning that we have may be different. There are different nuances for each person. So that's why, like, the two of you may be experiencing the same kind of energy weight on the two of you because of the collective consciousness that's going on, but you may be questioning different things or questioning different areas of your life. So you're both questioning, but what you're questioning and how you're perceiving it and how you're thinking through things will be different. So I feel like that's really what's going on. That's what's putting you on a different wavelength. I feel like your partner, more so than you, is questioning a lot and getting caught up very much in the mental side of things, and you are more on the emotional side. So you feel connected to them, but you feel like they're not as connected to you. You feel like they're distant. Their thoughts are kind of going somewhere else, and they're not really putting full focus on you. And I just want to say that I think that this will change. I feel like whatever thoughts they're kind of thinking and having to work through is something that they need to be thinking and working through. It's important for themselves, for their own growth, their own development, and releasing some of their own anxieties and their own insecurities. And it's like they're having to deal with things and face things that they haven't faced before. And it's just something that they have to process through. And you, Earth sign, you need to process as well. You need to process things on the emotional level. They're having to work on the mental level, but you're having to work on the emotional level. Why do you feel the sadness? Yes, we've talked about how you don't feel connected, but what makes you feel like you need this connection right now? And we all need connection. So this is not like it's okay for you to feel this way, of course, but this is a time for you to work through those energies, because when we're given these opportunities, if we work through them, just like I talked about in one of the videos that I posted today, if you work through them, you will experience the other side of the coin, and it will be amazing. Like, it will be worth it, but you have to kind of face those feelings of why does it make me sad that they're not paying attention to what I'm saying? Why does it make me sad that I feel like we're separated from this isolation and I can't be with them? Why does it make me sad that why do I feel like they don't care just because their mind is focused on something else right now? That doesn't necessarily mean that they don't care. It just means that right now something else is drawing their attention, and it's something that they need to work on, and that doesn't have anything to do with their feelings for me. So there may be some questions like that you need to ask yourself that are about how you're feeling and the emotional side of things that you need to work on. Work on those, and you'll feel much better. You'll feel much stronger. I feel like you will handle this whole isolation situation much better. You'll feel stronger in it. You won't feel, I feel like there's some people who are having a hard time with this. And then there's other people who are fine in the isolation. Yeah, they would like things to be different. We would all like things to be different, but they're able to fill up their time and and use that time, to maybe master a skill or to work longer hours in their job if they're able to work from home and like really really get themselves ready, get themselves really doing their job very well. They're able to sit and watch a Netflix show or something like that and peruse YouTube and learn about different interests. And yeah, they would like to be with their partner, but also, they can't. And they're going to make the best use of this time. And yes, they miss their partner, but they have other things that they can focus on in the meantime. So that's where you want to be, Earth sign. And if you work through these energies and these questions and these emotions that you're feeling, that's where you can be. And I feel like once you've hit that point, that will be when isolation is starting to be over. I feel like it's already happening now. That's what they're saying. It's like we're kind of getting to that point where we can start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. But I think that once you work on this, you'll feel stronger. And the moment that you start feeling stronger, we'll be able to go out again. And you will bring that strength that you've learned through this time into your reality. And you'll be able to face other emotional things that come up. You'll know how to do that because you learned that right now. And emotional things will always come up. That is something that you never really master for all of us. It's just a part of life and it's a part of growth. And like I said, it can be very powerful. If you work through it, you will realize the power that it brings. So don't be scared of it. All right, Earth signs. So as I was shuffling the cards, I got some intuitive insights on actually each of the individual signs. So we're going to do that before we look at the cards for each of the signs. So Taurus, what I'm feeling for you is I feel like you're actually really struggling with this isolation. I feel like this is not the way that you like to live. You're somebody who likes to get out there and be doing and being around people and being out in the sunlight. And so I feel like you, Taurus, are actually one of the ones that are struggling the most of the earth signs, maybe of everybody, with this whole isolation situation. Just follow the advice that I was saying before, like try to figure out why you feel like you need to be out doing things. Why do you need to do? Like take this time to face yourself and be able to sit in this silence and not have to distract yourself from your own thoughts by doing everything else and being out there and talking to people and experiencing the world. So use this as a time to really connect with yourself, Taurus, because you might not really do that normally. You may think that you do, but I don't think that you do. And this is an opportunity for you to get acquainted with yourself, build a relationship with yourself, talk to you, like as if you would talk to a friend. So that's the advice I'm getting for you, Taurus, for this month. I'm doing this in April, but like for like the next 30 days, let's say. So for Virgos, what I'm feeling for you is I feel like you're kind of struggling, but you also aren't. So I feel like you're doing well on the outside. I feel like you are trying to keep busy, but I feel like you're also trying to avoid the love area of your life. You're trying to avoid facing the love side of life. I feel like you may be silently suffering or like suffering in silence, where inside you feel sad about this area of your life. You may feel confused about this area of your life. There's hurt around this area of your life, but you're kind of trying not to focus on it. You're trying not to look in that direction. You're trying to stay positive and be happy. And Virgo, I think you're doing a good job of staying positive and being happy. I feel like you're doing a good job, but I do feel like you really need to face the love area of your life. I think that you need to face whatever fears that you have there, that maybe you aren't worthy of love, that you're not loved by whoever you would like to love you, that you're going to be alone. Whatever fears you have with regards to the love area of your life, this is the time to face it. Remember, whenever you face the fears on an emotional, like in the emotional way, and you work through that energy and you work through that sadness and you make your peace with it, huge transformation will happen in your life. So don't fear the sadness. Don't fear yourself. Don't fear facing the thoughts that you have about yourself and the feelings that you have about yourself and what you feel like you deserve. Work on it and really work through it, because on the other side of that is so much amazingness you don't even know, Virgo. So that would be the advice for you. For Capricorns, I feel like you guys are probably doing the best. So this is almost in order, where the Tauruses, whew, you guys are, you're struggling. The Virgos, you're struggling on the inside, but you're keeping it together on the outside. The Capricorns, I feel like you're doing the best. You have your struggles as well, but I feel like for you, Capricorn, I feel like there are some things for you to work on. But I feel like right now you're really busy with work. You're getting as much as you can done. You're being really productive. You're using this time very productively, very efficiently, trying to learn as much as you can, or like hit some outcomes that you really want to achieve. So you're doing a good job. I do feel like in the midst of all of that, like kind of within all of that, you are avoiding some issues that you need to work on. Now, they're not those deep emotional issues like the Virgos have to deal with, but there are some things that you need to work on. So maybe irritations that you have that you haven't really addressed, that you need to figure out, why does that bother me? Why does that annoy me? It's minor. Like irritation is a very minor feeling to deal with. Sadness is very deep, and then with the Tauruses, it's kind of this frustration. Yours, Capricorn, is much easier to deal with, but that also means that it is also much easier to overlook. So don't overlook these things that you also need to be working on, Capricorn, by focusing all of your attention on work and being productive and making the most of this time. Do that, but also make sure that you are being aware, making yourself aware of the irritations that you have and what you need to work on as well. All right, Taurus, so for your cards, we got the Five of Pentacles and we got the Ten of Wands. And I feel like this really speaks to what we were talking about in the intuitive portion, where you really are struggling with this whole isolation, with this pandemic situation. You're having a really hard time. You feel like you can't move forward. You might even feel like you're alone because you're not able to go out and interact with other people the way you normally would have. You might not really be doing a lot of the online, like virtual happy hours and virtual hangout types of situations. And I think that that is also making you feel like you're alone. It's almost like maybe your friends or those close to you don't really have enough time to be able to do that with you, and you're and that's what's making you feel like you're alone. It's like, wait, I thought we were close, and now you can't really make the time for us to spend time together when we're all in isolation and none of us can really go out to do anything, so we kind of have more time than normal. So I feel like you are really struggling with this. And the thing is I feel like for those of you who feel like the people in your life don't seem to have time for you when they should have time for you, I feel like that may be a mental thing going on in your head, Taurus. I feel like they are making time for you, just not as much as you want. And the amount that you want may not really be practical. You may need more time from others than other people are really able to give. So that may just be a perception thing, Taurus. I feel like in your head you feel like, oh, well, now I know who my true friends are. Now I know who really actually cares about me. Like, I feel like you're kind of in that mentality of like, oh, they obviously were my fake friends or something like that. But really, it's just a perception thing going on in your head. With the Ten of Wands, I feel like this represents a few different things, so it may be different for each Taurus watching. So I feel like for some of you, it represents kind of a loss of hope. You don't see the light at the end of the tunnel right now for anything that's going on right now. You don't see the light at the end of the tunnel for this pandemic. You might not see the light at the end of this tunnel for your relationships with your friends, with your love life, with your family, for those closest to you. Somehow you have lost hope. And for others of you, I feel like this represents that you are kind of hiding from something. You may be hiding from yourself and the fears that you have within yourself. You may be hiding from the things that you need to address within yourself. You may be hiding from embarrassment, like you feel like there's some situation that could be embarrassing for you and you're trying to hide from that. You may be hiding from embarrassing yourself in front of another person. You may be hiding from another person. So there may be something that you are hiding from, Taurus, is what I'm feeling for you. For the Virgos, we got the Seven of Pentacles and the Five of Swords. So, Virgo, with the Seven of Pentacles, what I feel this represents is I feel like it's kind of a duality situation that you are living in, like two sides of the spectrum that you are living right now. Virgo, usually, oh, I said Seven of Pentacles, this is Six of Pentacles, sorry. So Virgo, you are usually the one who is the giver. You're usually the one that's out there able to give to others, and that brings you a sense of power. You're usually the one that's up here who's giving to those down here. I feel like, of course, that is your dominant energy, Virgo. You are a giver, and that puts you in a position of power. But I feel like right now you are embodying also the position of the beggar, the one who needs from somebody else, the one in the lower position. And so I feel like, Virgo, there's something in your life that you're having to beg for. There's someone in your life that you're having to beg to. And that is kind of an interesting thing. And I feel like whatever it is that you're having to beg for, it's not huge in the whole scheme of your life, in the whole realm, but it is putting you in this really weird dynamic where it's like, this is strange, this is weird. So that may be something, Virgo, that you need to kind of address and look at a little bit more closely. With this Five of Swords, I feel like this represents that, Virgo, you may not be doing right by someone or by others. This card is kind of bringing me the sense of like playfulness at the very best, but mischievousness actually for most of you, or maybe all of you, and also maybe kind of, again, not really doing right by others. You may not be caring about others or caring about other people's feelings as much as you should. You may be being careless with regards to other people's feelings. And I feel like this may represent a dynamic in and of itself as well. So you're dealing with the situation where you're normally the giver, and now all of a sudden you're on the other side as well, where you're the beggar. That's like a two-sided thing that you're dealing with. I feel like there's also the two-sided thing where you're the beggar, maybe to somebody else, needing for them to care about your feelings. But on the other hand, you're not being careful, you're being careless with other people's feelings. So you're, again, living two sides of the spectrum. So Virgo, some things for you to deal with there, these dynamics. Why are you experiencing them, and why are you contributing to them? Those are the questions that you need to be looking into. Glass of water. Okay, Capricorn. So for you, we got the High Priestess and we got the Fool card. With the High Priestess, I feel like this is you basically handling this whole pandemic, this whole situation like a pro, like a master, like it's easy, it's not easy, and you know that, and you're not 100% handling it like it's easy, but compared to everybody else, you're being a master, and you're taking this time to really come into knowledge or power, or come into your balance and your space, and you're doing a good job, Capricorn. Like you've got this whole pandemic isolation situation down. Like you know how to be with yourself. You know how to handle, you know how to keep yourself busy. You know how to keep yourself productive. You know how to be at one with your emotions and not kind of succumb to too much of the sadness and the loneliness that can come with this kind of environment and situation that we're in. With the Fool card, I feel like you may be being a fool through this as well. You are not paying attention to the fact that, yes, you are doing a great job, Capricorn, but you have some things that you need to work on as well. And you're not working on those things. You're working on stuff. You're working on your job or your work or a skill or something that's outside of yourself that you can master and you can sculpt and you can be a pro at. But you're not really working on yourself. You're not working on some things that you need to address within yourself, what's coming to the surface. Now, with the High Priestess, I said that you may be mastering self-balance in some ways, and I think that that's still true. You are working on your balance, but somehow there are things that you need to address that you're not. And I feel like you may be the fool in thinking that you don't have things to work on, but you do. And usually the Fool card is a very good card. It represents like new beginnings and, you know, having that that naivete spirit. And that is you. You are being a little bit naive about the situation, and that is something for you to work on, Capricorn. And I feel like that really ties to the intuitive portion that we talked about before. So, Earth signs, that is what I got for your April readings. I hope this was helpful. I hope you know how to spend your time during this isolation. What are the things that you need to work on? What are the questions that you need to explore within yourself so that you can come out of it with power and success and living the positive side of the spectrum instead of being stuck up in the negative. And like now I see why I was called to kind of go off the cuff and talk about how energies affect me in the previous video. Like now I see it's because it was important information for your video and maybe for the other ones. Earth signs are the first ones that I'm doing for the April readings. So with that, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you have an extended reading with me, I will still be doing extended readings for your sign. So, and that will be done in the traditional sense. So don't worry about that. So Earth signs, thank you so much for watching. And I will either see you in the extended or I will see you in my next video.